So Simone, have you had any resistance, any negative comments about this property at all?
Look, not negatives. I think at any price point there's going to be some sacrifices. You know, I always say to any of the buyers that I'm having dialogue with that if you find a house that ticks 7 to 8 out of 10 boxes, then that's pretty good going. There's nothing that's ever going to tick 10 out of 10 boxes, in my opinion. I think with a property like this at the price point that we're looking in, the only sacrifice I think a buyer's really making is potentially a garage at this price point. It hasn't really given me a huge amount of resistance, to be honest, because you've got the direct access to the park, it's freestanding, its position is fantastic, and the quality of finishes is exceptional. So I think the few buyers I have interested in the property are obviously prepared to sacrifice a garage for what's on offer.
And the auction's next week.
Yes.
How many bidders do you think you'll have at the auction?
Oh, I'm not really a gambling woman, but I think I've got 3 or 4 pretty interested parties at the moment, and there's a couple of maybes.
And that's based on number of people who have downloaded contracts?
Correct.
And has anyone done a building inspection report?
Well, we've got one on offer
Yeah.
for the purchasers to download, if that's the right word. We've had probably 3 or 4 of those downloaded already. As you would know, sort of as we get to the crunch week, which is week 3 and week 4, which we're sort of in the middle of now, that's where buyers tend to have the contracts reviewed by their solicitor, purchase the building and pest inspection, and our dialogue's a little bit different. It's, you know, if the auction was tomorrow, what are you prepared to pay? So we're having those detailed conversations at the moment.
So do you think there are any buyers there that are potentially gearing up to make an offer prior to the auction?
Well, I've had probably about 4 or 5 second and third inspections. So, and I've got a couple that are waiting to come and see me straight after you. So, yeah.
And if anyone was interested in making an offer before the auction, what would your advice be to those people?
Look, in any scenario, if a buyer is interested in presenting an offer before auction, it needs to be a premium offer. You know, if you've got your vendor hat on, you know, what's the incentive and why would you sell something prior to auction unless you're dangling a pretty big carrot under their nose, right? So if a buyer's interested in looking at something prior or snapping property up prior to auction, it's got to be an offer above the guide. In this scenario, I haven't encouraged them, and we're not really looking at it just yet, unless it's a pretty big carrot, so we can talk about